I hope we find out in a few minutes. But yes, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer had been stationed a few feet away for a long period of time, 20 minutes, half hour or so. Now Schumer has moved over. He is standing near Mitch McConnell. The other camera angle gives a little bit of a better shot, but they were speaking. McConnell is still at his lectern. There's now a bipartisan group of senators gathered round, listening in as to what is being discussed and potentially what is soon to be announced. Schumer is now, as you can see, has turned back and moved away from his Republican counterpart, moving to his own lectern.
This is your government at work. Now, manila folders are being opened. Senators are doing their best this is a full-on scurry, to scurry back to their positions.
That was more of a scurry than a mosey.
Okay, but for some, scurrying is more difficult than others. That's White House of Rhode Island, Warren from Massachusetts, Coons, Van Hollen. I guess Ben Cardin's going back to his seat. Here comes Flake for another orbit. But it looks like McConnell is talking. Let's open the mics. Can we hear if they're sending us audio?
No.
McConnell just voted no. The vote was open until the majority leader voted. So Mitch McConnell just cast his no vote, and we're going to keep the audio open.
Are there any senators in the chamber wishing to vote or wishing to change their vote? If not, on this vote, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 49. And the motion is not agreed. And 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative, the motion is not agreed to. Majority Leader?
I enter a motion to reconsider the vote.
Motion is entered.
Yeah, I just want to call to the attention of my colleagues' statement of a part of the statement of the White House press secretary tonight, presumably on behalf of the administration. It simply says, we will not negotiate the status of unlawful immigrants while Democrats hold our lawful citizens hostage over their reckless demands. If that appropriately represents the White House view of where we are. And, Mr. President, what we just witnessed on the floor was a cynical decision by Senate Democrats to shove aside millions of Americans for the sake of irresponsible political games. The government shutdown was 100% avoidable, completely avoidable. Now it is imminent. All because Senate Democrats chose to filibuster a non-controversial funding bill that contains nothing, not a thing they do not support. Nothing they do not support. Perhaps across the aisle, some of our Democratic colleagues are feeling proud of themselves. But what has their filibuster accomplished? What has it accomplished? The answer is simple. Their very own government shutdown. Shutdown effects on the American people will come as no surprise. All week, as we've stood on the floor and begged our colleagues to come to their senses, Senate Republicans have described exactly what this will mean. For America's men and women in uniform, shutting down the government means delayed pay. For the many thousands of civilian employees who support their missions, it means furloughs. And for the families of fallen heroes, it may well mean a freeze on survivor death benefits. For veterans who rely on our promise of care, shutting down the government means threatening their access to treatment. For so many Americans struggling with opioid addiction, the same is true. Thanks to the Democratic leader's decision to filibuster an extension of the state children's health insurance program, low-income families will slip closer to losing health coverage for their kids. And in many states, this is an emergency. I'm having trouble understanding which one of these outcomes my Democratic colleagues could possibly be proud of. Which one of them? I think our friends the other side took some bad advice. Really bad advice. I'd hate to have to be trying to explain this myself. They ignored the governors, including 7 Democrats who wrote Congress begging us to extend S-chip for 9 million children. They ignored the needs of millions of Americans who rely on the federal government for important services. They held all this hostage, all of it hostage, over the completely unrelated issue of illegal immigration. Republicans in the Senate have done all we can to continue the normal operations of the federal government and secure certainty for these S-chip kids. We could pass it tonight if we go to the president for signature. These kids would be okay. Well, we're going to continue to do all we can. We'll vote again so the American people knows who stands for them. And when our friends across the aisle remember who it is they actually represent, we'll be ready to come together in a bipartisan discussion that will be necessary to clean up all of this mess. We've all been having private conversations here on the floor. Almost everybody on both sides doesn't understand how we ended up here. Because most of this stuff we agree on. Well, there's only one reason we ended up here. The shoehorning of illegal immigration into this debate. Now, having said that, there is a lot of sympathy in this body for doing something about the DACA kids. It's not like nobody's interested in that. We've been talking about it for 3 months. But the one reason we are where we are is because we couldn't close out any of these other component parts because our friends on the other side said, you got to deal with this issue. This issue is the key to getting defense spending. This issue is the key to getting help for S-chip kids. And on and on and on. I think most of the American people believe that shutting down the government over this issue, which doesn't even ripen until March, is irresponsible. And I've just listed all of the people who are going to be adversely impacted by this action. So we're going to keep on voting. And the government may be heading into shutdown, but the Senate's not shutting down.